you imagine having that sense of like such an overwhelming sense of don't leave me that you're willing to kill somebody for it? I guess that's just so weird to me. Like that just detached from all the rest of them, because like Ted Bundy, he just wanted to hurt them. All of the rest of them, they just wanted to hurt them.
Yeah.
They wanted to inflict pain and torture on their victims, where he just didn't want his victims ever to leave him. Hi, welcome back to Kouch Talk.
Hello.
Today, what are we going to talk about, Ems, today?
We're going to talk about that new series, Jeffrey Dahmer, that just came out. For more videos like this, just make sure to like and subscribe.
Yes, we have to.
We'd appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the love we got for our first one. We so appreciate it. Lots of love.
Yeah. So what would you like to start with? Okay, so a new series on Jeffrey Dahmer just came out. First thing I want to say, they did us dirty by picking a hot actor.
Oh my gosh.
They did us dirty.
They did.
I don't want to feel attracted to a Jeffrey Dahmer character.
Right, but in real life, he was a very attractive man.
That's me.
In real life, if you didn't know what he had done, he would be a very attractive man, you know?
When he was younger.
Yeah, but he, even as older, I mean, very studious, very studious, nerdy type, you know?
Maybe for you.
The kind of guy that you would trust to watch your house while you were on vacation.
Yeah,
right?
he's very calm. He seems very calm and collected.
I didn't watch the whole series. I couldn't. I got to like 3 and I was like, well, I can't watch this. I can't watch this. I did, however, watch the whole entire documentary. So, Emma, tell me about the series. Summarize it.
It really just starts off, like, I feel like it goes back and forth with his childhood and him during his murders, or, you know, like right before his murders and stuff. I don't know. It really showed how his father kind of had a part to play in, like, molding who he was, because his father saw that he took an interest in roadkill, right? I forget what his father did. What did his father do?
Taxidermy.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that had a big part to play in it, because they showed that in the series, and this kid was just like fascinated, and I feel like if his dad hadn't opened his door, I feel like his life probably would have went drastically a different way.
You know, the part in the series that I noticed was like he moved to religion a lot. Is that true? Like just the 3 little that I did see, and then compared to the documentary, he moved to religion a lot too, trying to calm down whatever it was inside of him.
Right. Obviously,
it didn't work, but for me, it was very difficult to watch because so. I've watched documentaries on like the
Ted Bundy and stuff.
John Wayne Gacy, the BTK, bind, torture, and kill is what it stood for, killer. And you know what the distinct difference was in all of them? I mean, all of them had one common except for Jeffrey Dahmer, and it really threw me off. And that was when he was arrested, like. He, against his attorney's advice and everything, he was like, nope, I'm going to give you everything. He gave names of people that they weren't even looking for without, you know, any, don't give me a deal type of thing in the documentary. And you could hear him like on the phone between conversations between him and his lawyer. They played those a lot.
I don't think I saw the documentary, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they did. I don't know if they touched any of that on this.
A little bit with the attorney of like how he was like, seemed regretful, almost. I think, from what I remember.
So the one thing that's different from him than all the other ones was he didn't try to like make excuses for why he did what he did. He even said he had a great childhood. You know, he just said he didn't know why, and he couldn't control it.
It didn't seem like he had a great childhood though, because his mother was like crazy.
But in his eyes, in the documentary, and on the phone calls and then the written stuff, like he says, my family, I don't blame anything on my family or my childhood or anything like that. And he kept repeating that I had a normal childhood. So what was normal to him was already like twisted all up.
Messed up.
Twisted. And I think that he he had a sense of remorse, a sense of right and wrong, but he just couldn't control himself. Whereas like, and the other part of it, let me just back up a little bit. The other part of it is that the reason why he killed them, you know, all the other serial killers that
he's lonely. He wants them to stay with him forever.
Because they abandoned him. Like, they totally left him alone in a house. Like, okay, we're all leaving. Goodbye. They didn't even, I don't even think they said goodbye to him. They just left.
No, they just left.
But to have, could you imagine having that sense of, like, such an overwhelming sense of don't leave me that you're willing to kill somebody for it?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's just so weird to me. Like, that just detached from all the rest of them, because, like, Ted Bundy, he just wanted to hurt him. All of the rest of them, they just wanted to hurt them.
Yeah.
They wanted to inflict pain and torture on their victims, where he just didn't want his victims ever to leave him.
Yeah, it was pretty, like, heightened, because he turned to cannibalism, too. Like, he said that when he would eat them, he would feel like a part of them. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You know, the documentary didn't touch too much that I recall on that. Like, it could have. I don't remember that part all that much, because it's so gross, and I can't imagine like opening up someone's fridge and having all these body parts in there. Like, that is such a detachment from being a human. Like, you have completely detached yourself from any human regular feeling, you know?
Yeah.
And he even said, like, he could not love. He was incapable of feeling love. So he could feel loneliness, which, what category does that fall under?
I don't know. Depression.
Depression.
I don't know. Depression.
I don't know. But it was just so weird. Well, you know that Ted Bundy, you know that all the other ones, they didn't feel love either. Like, how could you feel love? Maybe pretend love.
I thought Ted Bundy, like, didn't kill his wife because he loved her so much.
Did he? Really?
Well, I watched that one movie about him, Wickedly, Shockingly Evil or something. You should watch it. It has Zac Efron as a Ted. Anyways, back to Jeff.
And I think that it's so wrong that I did not know that people were dressing up as
for him as Halloween. I mean, I feel like it's very messed up, especially to the victims' families.
Right? I mean, think about how glorified this whole thing has become, and how insulting that must be to them.
Right. Like, why does he get attention for killing people?
So what about all the people, all the victims? You know, what about them?
Although we're kind of doing that.
Well, I just want to talk about like how we can get to such a place in society that we dress up as a real live serial killer for Halloween, and we're okay with our kids doing that.
Right.
Okay. So fictional stuff, like in the past, it's always been Frankenstein, a vampire, a witch, which who knows, all could be real too, and whatever somebody's head.
You never know.
Right? But something so horrifying,
real.
Yeah, displaced from humanity, and, you know, and so sensitive to other, that has hurt so many people. I mean, you dress up like Dracula, so if there's a real Dracula, right? You dress up as Dracula. I mean, you didn't hear about their victims on the news. Like, you didn't see pictures of their, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm just perplexed. I'm really perplexed.
That leads me into how people sent him letters while he was still alive in jail and gave him money saying, oh, you're my hero, or like
hero,
stuff like that, or like you're an icon, stuff like that, like just admiring him for who he is and how like popular he is, and giving him money. I think a lot of that money ended up going to victims' families, though.
Did it?
Yeah, based on the show.
I don't know.
Which is good, but I just think it's disgusting.
Right? Like, where are we as a society?
Check up on those people. Like, what are they doing? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, and so the movie didn't really touch too much about like how Jeff got into general population.
No, it didn't.
So in the documentary, there was a phone call that they had like recorded, and it was between him and his lawyer, and she was telling him that, you know, you don't want to go into general population. You don't want to. They're going to kill you. You know this, right? You know this. And he's like, I know it, but I'm going to die in here alone.
And he wanted the death sentence.
Yeah, he wanted to die, and they didn't give. Did they give him the death sentence? I don't think they didn't. So he sentenced himself. I guess that's just like the difference. Like I'm having trouble identifying the feelings that I feel about his story, because it's easy to hate those who deny what they've done, and those who don't take any responsibility, and those who you can't really see in your normal humanness as,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, but I also feel like maybe this is a theory. Maybe he strategized it to be like that, to make people feel bad for him. Like low-key reverse psychology.
I don't feel bad for him.
Well, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like what was going on inside his head.
I don't feel bad for him.
Okay, that's
so I don't feel bad for him. That's not one of the feelings I have.
I just know a lot of people are feeling bad for him.
They do?
Maddie said that.
He's
like, oh, I feel bad for Jeffrey. And so I'm thinking, if she's thinking that, there's tons of people out there that are feeling bad for him. But what they have to understand is he was easily manipulating people, even the cops, to believing
That's true.
everything. So what makes us think, like, in the interviews or in the news, he's just going to be like, he doesn't want people to hate him more. You know what I mean?
He grew up with people not liking him, though.
Well, I know. I feel like some of it's probably strategized, like reverse psychology.
Maybe, but that would really suck if you were using reverse psychology to be asked to be put in general population and be with.
I know. I'm just.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. Like it's huge range of things.
I have trouble with this one. I think I have trouble with it because he seems like in conversations like such a normal person.
Right.
That's
kind of. He's a bit of a weirdo.
Well, he's a weirdo, but when you hear the conversations like that he has, he seems like he has the basic human needs.
Right.
Like he has and he has remorse, and he knows what he's done, and he wants to be punished. So those things are so contradictory to like what a monster looks like. I think that's what's messed up with my perception of him, because it gives me too much of a chance to have him look like a real human than a monster. And in my head, to cope with everything that they're capable of doing, I have to look at them as a monster. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I have struggled with that story a lot, and like I try to stay far away from it because it's really something that I'm never going to understand why people do what they do.
One thing I saw on the show that he did while he was in prison, it was in a later episode, so you didn't get to this part, but he would low-key provoke the other, or instigate the other prisoners by, like, he'd look at his food and be like, y'all, this kind of looks like a thumb.
Did he?
Yeah, he would instigate. And one of the guys that I think tried to kill him said he has no repent for his eyes or something like that. Like he sees human parts in his eyes when he sees food. Something like that.
Wow.
That wasn't in the show. I just saw that somewhere else. But
wow.
Do you agree with him being murdered? Or for me, I'd rather him rot in prison for the rest of his life than easy way out, you're murdered.
Well,
you know what I mean? I'd rather someone that does that, especially to a 14-year-old.
I know, right?
Just rot. Like, he drilled a thing in his head.
Yeah, but he was trying to turn him into a zombie so he could keep him. He didn't want him to die.
That's even worse. Like I'd be like, just kill me.
He didn't want to die. He just wanted to control everything about him. That's what that was his
goal. His dad taught him that, right?
No.
In the show, his dad taught him, if you pour just a tiny bit of acid on a brain, like talking about animals or something, like something about it destroys some type of part of the brain wherever you pour it or whatever, and they won't feel pain. They won't feel anything. And I think he learned that from his dad on the show. So he did that to his victims. So,
but not all of them.
Not all of them?
No, just the ones he tried to keep. Like later on, I think as far as I know, like I said, I can watch all the series, and in the documentary, it didn't go into it showed his arrest and the police footage of all that stuff, but it didn't get into the glorification of his acts like the series did. Like I thought that, showing what was inside of his refrigerator was appalling. Like, really?
They showed that? Like the real?
Not in the documentary, but in the series, in the first few that I saw, like it showed him open it and there was a head in there and stuff. Like,
oh yes.
in the series.
The real parts, they have been shared along TikTok, all over TikTok.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting to me. Like, why would you want to see that? Like, that's somebody's family.
Right? I forgot where I was going with that, but...
Oh, the refrigerator?
Yeah, like, it's just... Do I want him to rot? Back to the original question. I don't know what I would want. Like, if it was my kid, I'd want, like, if it was my kid that was a victim, I'd want the slowest, most painfulest death ever, because you will never hurt the way I hurt. And, I think that we're really forgetting about the victims and the families because it was so glorified. It was so glorified, and we were so shock and awe over, is this real? Could this really be happening? Is this person real?
Right.
And I think them putting it on a show like they did with Netflix took it to the next level of, yeah, it's real, and he is just like your average guy, next door neighbor, But I did feel bad for the lady who was next door. I don't know what happened to her.
I don't know. Is she still alive? I don't know.
The lady that was next door. Do you remember?
She was always calling the cops, and they never listened.
Oh, wouldn't that just be...
And those cops got rehired.
Isn't that just tragic?
Because they saw the 14-year-old, because he eventually escaped. He escaped, got outside. The neighbor lady called the police. They showed up. And right when they showed up, Jeff came back and said, yeah, this is my boyfriend. He's 19. It's fine. And they let him take him back. And then he died. And then those cops got rehired. And they only put him on paid leave because of publicity.
Well,
system is...
You know what somebody told me? Somebody told me once that the cops aren't there to prevent crimes. They're there to act after a crime has taken place. That's what somebody told me once.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a little messed up.
But... It is. It's totally messed up. I mean, so we say, and it's because we use that word protect and serve, right? They're supposed to protect and serve us. But really what they do is just clean up after something is already... I mean, I've never seen a cop. I'm sure it's happened. But I have never firsthand seen a cop prevent something from happening. Maybe future murders by killing somebody who's already murdered.
Yeah.
Future robberies by, catching somebody who's been a robber. But what have they ever really prevented?
Not much. I feel like over the past few years, they've done more hurt than good. But I do have a thought rolling back to him asking to be in general population.
Okay.
I think he didn't want to be in isolation, because then he would just be lonely all over again and probably go freaking nuts.
Yeah, he did. He said he was going nuts.
Yeah. So I feel like now he has people to talk to, people to provoke, entertain himself.
Like he knew before he was going into general population that they were going to kill him.
Yeah.
Anybody who's been locked up knows that your papers... they matter to the people inside. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the guards say. It doesn't matter what your justice system says. It's your papers mean an awful lot.
Does that mean he'd rather be dead than lonely forever?
Exactly.
It's sad. That's really sad, but I feel like he could have gotten a therapist.
Do you know how many therapists he had? He was like the broken of...
It didn't show that in the show.
Yeah, he had not before he was locked up, but they had, a psychiatric lady, like, during the whole entire, because they got so much information out of him, like, for future studies and stuff like that. Like, he cooperated with every single, like, if you want to know what I'm going to tell you what I'm really thinking.
Yeah.
Even if it's the most horriblest thing in the world, I'm going to tell you what I'm really thinking so that he could be studied even in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Not, and I don't think it was a matter of, I tend to like fall back on this. Maybe the religious part of him.
Probably, like, it's in the back of his head.
The religious part of him saying, you know, I know that this is wrong. I can't fix it, but maybe somebody else can study it and keep someone else from doing it.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I don't truly know what his motives were for that.
Right.
You know, his name's not going to go in any of the studies.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be patient number such and such. You know what I mean? So he's not going to get any glorification out of that.
They wanted to study his brain, but,
Mm-hmm.
his dad wouldn't let that happen.
After he died?
Yeah, they had his brain. They were going to transport it to, like, some type of college or whatever.
Why would his dad allow that?
He didn't.
Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he? I don't know. His mom wanted to do it, though.
I mean, why not give science the opportunity to study and see if, like, maybe we could prevent something in the future?
Like, he's already
or
dead.
Acknowledge it, or say, okay, this is a tendency that somebody has. I mean, because you can't really say that everybody's environment creates that outcome of a person, but you can definitely say that his environment helped cultivate that person that he became.
For sure.
So what is the determining factor? Is it just evil? Just plain simple evil?
I feel like part of it is, yes.
Well, what you were saying is that there's people who have those thoughts and tendencies,
Right.
have those thoughts and like those conflicts within inside of them, but don't act on them.
Right. I just feel like it was maybe he just overthought it. Well, you know how he murdered that hitchhiker? And then he didn't do it for a really long time. You know what I mean? I feel like he just started thinking about it more and more and more, and he didn't push it down enough like he was or something.
Like it became too much work to try to control it.
Right. And he was like, I might as well. You know what I mean? It'll feel so good to kill someone. You know what I mean? And so
maybe it's like a drug to them. Like the amount of power that they have over another human being. And that's what that was another thing that he wanted too, was like he wanted to be able to control every single one of his victims forever. And maybe that's, I mean, you could definitely relate that to a drug addict.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can say for sure that somebody who has not done certain drugs, they don't know what they feel like. And you don't know what you're going to do until you know what it feels like. How much are you going to crave that, right?
Yeah.
Could be the same thing. Could be like relative to the same thing.
That's true.
Yep.
Well, actually, I saw this one clip of a really old documentary, like when it, like maybe a couple years after it happened. He was talking to his dad, and they were walking by their old home or whatever, and he was talking about how he used to have those same thoughts. Even in the series, he talked about it. He was like, I passed this down to you. I'm so sorry.
Did he really?
Yeah, so I don't know if that could pass down. Could it?
It depends on how far. It depends if they... I don't think that we're any place in science yet that says, okay, this gene is relative to serial killers.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we don't have much hope of that if they don't let us study their brains and things like that either. Yeah. But it could be a matter of environment. So think about this for a second. Let's use porn as an example.
Okay.
In 1930, let's just go back to that. Was that accessible? Right? Was porn accessible to everybody like it is today? Not the same opportunities, right? If you went to go get a dirty magazine, you had to buy it from somebody over the counter. You had to go somewhere, have your face seen, and you had to do that, okay? So it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And they did not have to have the same self-control.
Yeah.
We don't have to have the same self-control that they had to have then. So they were so worried about, like, they had some sort of pride in who they were, right? And they would use an absorbent amount of discipline and self-control to not go and get those things so that their name. Whereas nowadays,
it's just like...
I'm not even just talking about... Yeah, I'm not even talking about the porn thing, but he maybe did not have the cultivation of self-control that his father had to have.
Well, maybe that's why his father did taxidermy.
That's right. So because he was born in an era where self-control was very, very, you had to have self-control to function in society. Whereas like now, all of our self-control is pretty much like, if I want it, I got DoorDash, I got this, I got that.
It's kind of sad.
You know, I got whatever I want, just me, I don't have to have much self-control. And if I don't have any money, just I'll put it on my credit card. You know what I mean? So like we're very, very fast food society. I want it in 5 minutes. I want it in 5 minutes. We haven't really driven home, and we don't practice the self-control that his dad's era had to practice.
Right.
I mean, because do you think that could play a part in it too? Like,
I mean, back then there were so many more serial killers, wasn't there?
when during his father's years,
Just like Ted Bundy, John Gacy, him.
in
And
his father's era.
No, just
Jeffrey
in
Dahmer.
general, before like even I was born. Just like the 19, like, let's say 60s to 2000. How many were there of convicted serial killers? Because there was that one in California, something Ramirez.
Oh yeah, the guy who was like a demon dude.
So,
And then they had the dating dude. What is that?
the dating dude.
No, the guy who used to kill couples in the park. Who was he?
I didn't know that about that.
Oh yeah, I can't remember who he was, but I guess there was a lot. I guess there was a lot of them, but they didn't have. Jeffrey Dahmer had quite the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, he had quite the numbers, didn't he? Comparatively speaking, I think Ted Bundy had quite a few, and he still never came clean on how many he really had.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. And then the Green River Killer.
Don't know about that.
You don't know the Green River Killer? No. He's from this area.
Did he name himself that?
No.
Oh,
no,
poor
he did
dude.
not. He did not. He had so many, and he's still, like, we don't know how many there is of them either. But yeah, he used to dump in the Green River, and then in Auburn, and like, yeah.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
I'm surprised you didn't know about that one.
No.
That's fairly, well, he was caught, I guess, not a really, really long time ago, but.
Oh, maybe one thing why there's not as much now, I think, at least. I feel like, what's it called? The website that's bad.
The
dark web, black web.
Yeah.
There's sites where they can literally have, kidnapped women or men on there, and they live video chat it, and people send money and tell them what to do to them.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like maybe a lot of those type, like psycho murderers that want to murder stuff, they go onto there so they don't get in trouble, and they send those things in, and maybe that helps.
Well, I can tell
Which is not good.
Definitely a freaking weirdo who does that. Definitely.
Like, there's lots of things like that go on in the dark web, and it's really sad. And I feel like maybe a lot of sex trafficked women, that's like where they end up.
Absolutely. That's
No, I feel like they're all online now.
Well, and you're never going to find them.
Yeah.
You're never going to find them. Like, I don't. Yeah. I try not to think about that because it's traumatizing.
It makes me fear for, like, future generations of kids, even kids nowadays. Like, it's really scary because everything is so accessible. Even with parental controls, like, they find a way through. Like, predators find a way through.
They do, for sure.
Like,
for 100% certain.
Fortnite, there's 6-year-olds playing on there talking to adults. And their parents don't even know it.
Yep.
Anyways.
Wow, that got way too heavy on me there. Way too heavy.
I'm just saying, I feel like it's something us parents have to keep in mind.
Well, it seems like an impossible task, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like it's unconquerable, like, to keep your kids safe these days.
Yeah, because they need a phone so they can contact you if they need you, but then at the same time,
that leaves them exposed and vulnerable in certain realms.
Right. That's why my mom sent me a flip phone one time. It's very insulting, but she sent me one.
Well, yeah, do they make flip phones still?
Yeah, they're online.
Are they?
You should get Jocelyn one for Christmas.
No.
That would be so funny.
No. I think it would just take, no, I don't know. But our kids are vulnerable all the way around. Like, there's no safe place to be. And this has become depressing.
It just makes me think about, like, I just relate that back to I think they were Filipino, and the parents of the 14-year-old boy that got killed by Jeff. Like, he was just hanging out with his friends outside a gas station, and he picked him up.
Really?
On the show, at least. Yeah. Because he said, I'll buy you beers, or whatever. Bought him beers, and he's like, oh, wait, you gotta come with me. But, funny thing, Jeff had drugged that kid's brother before, and they pressed charges, and he got away with it. So I'm so surprised that this 14-year-old went with the same guy.
And it was random. Like, he didn't plan to go after his brother.
Yep.
You know? Just...
Which makes it even more effed up. He's
right?
Grabbing him.
Well, I think it's because it's just the area. He didn't change areas that he drew from, you know? So those who tend to, drink at 14 or, the troubled ones was troubled just like him. So they could, I don't know. But the one guy that got away,
thank God.
Right? And I don't think that the police wanted to believe him when he was telling his story. Like, hey, why do I have a handcuff on?
Probably thought he was just doing gay stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't think that they really wanted to believe his story. And that's a whole nother thing, is that how many times have victims tried to, like, I'm not talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, I'm talking about just in general, how many victims have tried to speak for themselves and been shot down? No, that can't be true. That couldn't be true. That couldn't be true. Or it's so far-fetched, it just couldn't be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been shot down for a case I've made.
Really?
Yeah.
To a police officer?
Yeah. I never did anything.
Really? Oh, see, it goes all the way to home. I did not know that.
It's dumb stuff. That's why I don't like the popo. Don't like them. Or, like, at least the system.
The system is severely broken. It is severely broken. I can tell you just from being in the system how broken it really is. But I wouldn't say that anarchy was better. I wouldn't say that a structure with nothing is better.
Right, yeah.
But I don't have the answers to fix it all. I think we are in a very interesting time of who's going to end up in charge. It's going to dictate the new realm of which we operate in society. But yeah, these shows are very, very hard to swallow when they make them so human. Like, to me, Jeffrey Dahmer was the epitome of a human that you wouldn't look at as a monster, and I think that I struggle with that a lot.
It's different. It's like a good and bad thing. Like, you feel bad, but then it's also like, oh, I don't know if you feel bad. It's just like, you can't understand it. It's like he seems like a good person.
Right. Like, how can you say I'm sorry? And you sound genuine, Yeah. And you say that you prayed and you this and you this and you this and then continue to do it and then openly say, I can't ever control myself. You never heard, Ted Bundy did not want to die all the way up to the very end. I'll tell you 10 more people if you don't kill me, Yeah. No, okay, I'm very sorry for what I did. I'm going to lay it all out. This is everything that I've done. Here's names that you weren't even looking for, but here they are. That part of it throws you off as to how you're supposed to view that person.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
why didn't he turn himself in earlier if he knew he was doing like having these thoughts? Like, he could have like checked himself into like an institute or something. Nobody wants to do that, but it seems like he wanted to like give people reassurance or like, what's it called? Clarity.
The impression that he wanted that he was sorry.
Right. And give, give the families with the missing people like
closure.
Yes, closure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that they had closure on what happened, everything.
Him giving the families closure actually is an act of mercy.
Yeah.
Because Ted Bundy didn't want to do that. John Wayne Gacy, he didn't want to do that either. He didn't want to give any of the families anything. And I guess, again, another one of those things that makes him look so human instead of a monster. Right? It's that stuff. It's so confusing and perplexing to me.
Especially when they use, again, a hot actor.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Somebody who's pleasant to look at. Okay. But you know, Ted Bundy was pleasant to look at too until he spoke. That's the thing too. You know what I'm saying?
Not to me. I've seen pictures.
You've seen pictures.
I know, it's hard to say because I already knew what he did.
Right. But when Ted Bundy speaks, and everybody's like, oh, he's so elegant, he's so handsome, he's so articulate, he's very educated, he's this and that. But he was very pompous. You know what I mean? He was very pompous.
Women still went crazy over what was that cult by they were like low-key hippies, but they went and killed people. They killed a pregnant woman.
Oh.
What's his name? Crap.
I know, right? A total blank. Helter Skelter. All these things. Why? I don't know. I can remember his victim, Sharon Tate. That's one of his victims.
You guys know.
Yeah.
You know.
Charles Manson.
There
you go.
Oh, also, one thing I noticed about Jeffrey, a lot of psychopaths or serial killers have the eyes where you see the white above.
Oh.
Instead of below or not at all. Jeffrey doesn't have that.
Really?
Yeah. If you look, especially Charles Manson, he's got the psycho killer eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing.
So Jeffrey Dahmer didn't have the psycho killer eyes. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He didn't have that.
Mm-mm.
That's what makes him so different from the other ones.
Right. Yeah. So you guys are going to have to give us your opinions on this. We'd love your feedback on it because this is one of the ones that have torn me up the most as far as, do I feel guilty for having a little bit of empathy, or no, he's a monster, but no, he doesn't look like a monster, Like, tell me your guys' thoughts and then how it affects society today. Mm-hmm. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Or other topics too.
Yeah.
That would be good too. So we would just like to say thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Please hit the like and subscribe button. Helps us out an awful lot if you want to hear more content. And we will be reading off some of your guys' requests here coming up very soon.
Like a Q&A almost.
Yeah, Q&A.
Yeah.
I know you guys have one question for Emmy that's continuous. And I know she can't wait to answer it, huh?
No, I can wait.
She's not excited. Wait. You're not excited?
No, but maybe I'll think about it.
So you have to think about it like this. If you share the answer to those questions in such a way, we could always help somebody else out.
That is true.
So then we could, we're the reweavers of anything into positive. So,
all right. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.